Hi, Bernadette Schneider with the Schneider Group at eXp Realty. I am here with my very good friend and favorite, maybe favorite and only inspector, Don Bartakian with Close Up Inspections. Hi, Don.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm peachy. How are you?
Good. So I'm going to ask you a few questions, no pressure.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Make sure your answers are good though, but no pressure.
I'll do my best. It's a dry run. It'll be okay.
So in your opinion, should a buyer shop around for an inspector? And why?
Yes and no. By shop around, if you mean shop around for the best deal, I would caution against that.
Okay.
Shop around to try to make sure that you get somebody qualified and licensed and they know what they're doing. Absolutely, you should try to get their credentials and qualifications and find out as much as you can about them.
Okay.
But I would caution against trying to find the best deal, and a lot of that is my concern with that is a lot of times you get guys that are potentially rushing, trying to get through the inspection as fast as possible because they're trying to do more volume for possibly less of a fee.
Okay.
And so, it's one of your biggest investments you're going to make in your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't cut corners.
Okay. So the saying is true. You get what you pay for.
Essentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. What are a couple of the biggest mistakes that buyers and sellers make when it comes to inspections?
Well, there's a term that we use in our industry that's called, one of them is make sure everything's readily accessible.
Okay.
You walk into a home, a lot of times it's just clutter everywhere. You've got dogs running around, pets everywhere, and get the place prepared as a seller. Make sure the home is ready for the inspector. By that, make sure that there's no clutter, like I said. Make sure there's not a lot of things hidden. Don't try to hide things. You want everything to be accessible, because what we don't do, and this will probably be one of the other questions, is we don't move things.
Right.
So if I can't get to it and I have to move furniture, that's not going to happen. If I have to look under a sink and it's full of personal belongings, or a garage that's full, it's just going to make it that much harder, and it's potentially the things that I can't see.
And we've run into locked attics.
Locked attics.
Locked water heaters. So yeah, things like that.
Yeah,
Just
check, make sure.
Be aware.
Yeah.
Be aware
As
of
a
what's
buyer,
happening.
make sure that you get with your agent, make sure all
Yes.
utilities are on.
Yes.
Because if I have to come back, unfortunately, there's going to be a cost, and I always put that in my emails when I put them out
Right.
there, is make sure things are
Right.
turned on. If the gas is off, I can't inspect a lot of things.
Oh, and how about let's make sure that the key works for the front door.
Yeah.
Because we've had that too.
We've had that too.
We've been through it all.
We've had that too.
So Don and I, again, as you've heard, we've been through a lot together over the last, it's only been a couple years, but I think we've seen a little bit of everything. So we had a buyer who was getting ready to buy a townhouse. No, it wasn't a townhouse, it was a duplex.
Duplex.
A buyer getting ready to buy a duplex. And I think it was built in the 60s, maybe early 70s, but I believe it was the 60s. And fortunately, Don was my inspector, as he always is, and he immediately found that it had cast iron plumbing. Correct? What's your take on cast iron plumbing?
Well, again, it's a lot of these homes in the 60s, and you're going to see it's very common, and it's the rare ones that have been completely replumbed. And a lot of times you'll get agents or you'll get listings that'll say plumbing has been updated. They didn't just tear out the plumbing under the house and redo that. More than likely, that's not all that. They've just gone down fixtures underneath the sinks, whatnot.
Right.
But so yeah, you're going to have a life expectancy on this type of plumbing, and it's a matter of we're getting to that now where they're just not going to last at this point. So one of the things we look for are drainage issues. Slow drains, that kind of stuff. Every now and then, you'll get hammering in the lines. So things that that's when you get that thumping noise. That generally means there's a blockage somewhere.
Gotcha.
So we look for certain things that are indicators, but regardless, in my reports are always going to say if the home is equipped with galvanized cast iron plumbing, I recommend a video scan.
Yep.
Because that's the only way you're going to be able to see what's going on underneath there. There's just no other way.
Right.
So that's going to uncover things, and I think we had that type of situation once.
We did, and this time we heeded your advice, and we had the plumber come out, and he stuck a camera down, and lo and behold, there were plants growing through, there were rocks. It was a disaster. So needless to say, that purchase didn't go through, thank goodness, because
We know how much that could cost.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it get
yeah,
very, very expensive. But again, like Don said, these agents, they want you to buy the house. So they're going to make it sound like they've done a lot more than what they've actually done. All new plumbing. That might mean they put some nice shiny fixtures under the
Correct.
sinks, or the actual sinks themselves. But the minute you get under the slab, nothing's new, nothing's shiny in these older homes.
Right.
So don't be fooled. Don't be taken for a ride. If your inspector says get a plumber, get a camera, get a plumber out there, do it. So do you recommend that buyers get an inspection regardless of the age of the home? I mean, even a brand new home, not necessarily a new build, but a few years old?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Because every property is going to have an issue. Some of the older homes, you've got certain things that could be potentially problematic with plumbing, cast iron, galvanized type stuff.
Right.
That is, I've said this before, I think we've discussed this before. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Right.
There's a life expectancy with that type of plumbing. It could be a lot of electrical issues, a lot of things that weren't maybe up to standards. Now, we're not code inspectors as home inspectors, but there are things that might not be up to current standards that need to be updated on older homes. Newer homes, sure. Just because of new construction doesn't mean that things were done correctly. It could be a lot of things that were left out, not completed, not done right. Drainage issues, with some of these lots. So even a new home can have deficiencies, absolutely.
And I think it's very important that as a buyer, you actually read the report. It is very self-explanatory. It comes with pictures. It's very easy to read. Get with your realtor. Your realtor is definitely going to read it. We have to. We have to. And get together and see what you guys think is the most important. If you want everything fixed, you want everything fixed. If there's only a few things that you want fixed, that's fine. It's something your realtor will negotiate with the other realtor on behalf of the seller. But just make sure you read the report and always get an inspection.
Don't just glance at the report. Don't just look at the pictures.
Read it.
Read it.
Yes.
And don't ignore things.
Okay.
If an inspector calls out a certain item, such as plumbing, we've been through this before.
Yes, we have.
Okay, don't ignore it. Recommend having, if I say recommend you having a camera scan, sewer scan, then you should do it.
A few $100, worth it.
It's going
weight in
to
gold.
save you potentially a large cost.
Yes.
And we've, things like, a lot of times you're under the misconception that a home warranty is going to cover a lot of things. Home warranties are known at times to deny claims.
Yep, because it's pre-existing.
Exactly. So don't just go, I have a warranty, I'm good. It's not always the case.
Okay.
That too. Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think this is kind of my last question, then I'll let you add anything if you want to or need to. We know everything basically that you do. What do you not do on an inspection? What is not part of?
There's a list of things that we don't do. Some of them are we don't move furniture, we don't move things. Okay. We don't do anything that could potentially cause damage. Okay. We don't. Most inspectors, shouldn't say all, most inspectors aren't going to climb roofs that are either too dangerous if they're tile that you walk on. You could potentially damage the roof, or you could fall down. Okay. We don't offer warranties. We're prohibited from offering any type of repairs. We don't get into, unless licensed. Now this is where it gets a little complicated, not complicated, but there's the caveat. Unless you're licensed, you are not to inspect any kind of environmental hazards. We are not mold inspectors. We don't get into radon, mold, anything like that, unless you absolutely are licensed for that type of thing.
Okay.
So those are the things that we're prohibited from doing.
So you could point out water damage, but that's the extent. You wouldn't go any.
It's a visual inspection.
Oh, gotcha.
That's what it's supposed to be. We're not supposed to be seeing behind walls.
Right.
If you want to do thermal, if you're qualified for that, that's up to you. Every agent's going to be, or every inspector's going to be different. Some guys do more than others. There are standards that are set by the real estate division that we try to follow, and I follow very strictly.
Okay.
So that said, we are not to predict the future. We can't tell when something is going to go out. Expectancy, HVAC units. There are certain things. I've seen water heaters last year. I've seen them last 20 years. You just don't know. So you point out any deficiencies you may see.
Right.
If it's not working correctly, HVAC unit. If it's you
That's
turn
a big
it on
one here in Vegas.
and it is a big one. Yeah, absolutely. But our job is to turn it on using normal operating controls. Okay, that's what we do. We don't take things apart.
Gotcha.
We don't see what's going on. We turn it on. If it's blowing cold, if it's functioning the way it's supposed to, then that's as far as we go. I always recommend on older systems to have a service checkup because the HVAC contractor is going to go beyond what we do as inspectors. So.
What about appliances? Do you do anything with the appliances?
Absolutely, yeah. We turn on all appliances that are considered built-in.
Okay.
Okay.
Being
So if there's a microwave on the counter, that's not a built-in
Gotcha.
appliance.
So if it's mounted in the house, stove, dishwasher, built-in microwave, what about a washer and dryer?
Washer and dryer is not considered a built-in.
So you
if
don't
it's
touch
there,
it?
I'll check it.
Okay.
I'll make a a comment about it. But
Gotcha.
that's as far as we're going to go. You know,
Okay.
it's the refrigerators, same thing. You know, sometimes they're included in the sale, sometimes they're not.
Right.
So if I don't know if it is or isn't, then it's not going to be reported.
Understood. Okay.
So.
And if you want to keep your inspector happy, make sure that the utilities are on.
Utilities
Pre-inspection.
are on. Yes, put your pets away.
Yes, yes.
And try to keep. You know, another good question people ask a lot is should I be present? And I recommend you should, absolutely. That doesn't mean follow me around and ask me questions the whole time, right?
But why not?
And we've had that happen too. So, you know, but let me do my thing, and then we can discuss what my findings were after the inspection is finished. But you should be. I always recommend try to be there if you can.
Because then not only can they
I can
read and go over
visually show
the
you what I've
inspection,
found.
yes, you can show them and actually
Instead of a picture.
verbalize. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
All right. So, well, good. I think we're done. Thank you, Don.
You're welcome.
You're the bomb.
Anytime.
.com.
.com.
Close-up inspections, guys. Talk to you soon.